Well, good morning. It's my morning anyway. I am grinding up some coffee just now. I've got the kettle on and gonna make my morning coffee, and I thought maybe we could chat while I'm doing that. I am drinking some San Francisco Bay coffee. This is a big bag I bought a while back, and I have been neglecting. It's a little bit of a darker roast coffee, and it's just not really my favorite. Let's see if you can see that. See, it's kind of a darker roasted and kind of has an oily texture. I just dropped one, and I don't really care at all that I dropped one. That'll go in the bin as soon as I find it later. But yeah, it's good quality coffee, but this roast level is a little darker roasted than I prefer. And let me put this back in the bag. I don't want to waste it after all. I am drinking it. It is good quality coffee. I'm drinking it, but it is darker roasted, and so it's not my favorite. This is the lightest roast that San Francisco Bay does produce. It's their morning blend of coffee, and yeah, it's just not light roast as far as I'm concerned, so having a bit of trouble getting myself to finish the bag off. Anyway, I'm going to grind this up, and as soon as the kettle comes up to a boil, I've got a little question I would like to ask you about. Okay, so we've got a good rolling boil on the coffee here, and I'm getting the Aeropress set up. This is what I use almost every day, is the Aeropress. It just makes life so much easier for me. And I'm using about 18 grams of coffee. And how I do this is kind of against the Aeropress recipe. I use the Aeropress kind of upside down from what the company tells you to do. They call this the inverted method, and I just find this easier. There's a few reasons why I find this easier, but I just find this easier to do it in the inverted method. And one thing I've been doing a little bit differently lately is I've been doing two filters, and that's just something I'm experimenting with. I don't have any real definite answer on whether I like doing it this way or not, but I have been trying out the two filter thing here lately, and I'll let you know when I have a idea on it. But here I'm just wetting it a little bit, because since I'm using the Aeropress in the kind of wrong way, basically I'm wetting the filters just to kind of glue them in place so they don't drop out of there when I put the top on. And then that's it. So fortunately I have a timer going because I'm using my phone and I can see the clock on the phone. So I'm going to watch the time. Normally with coffee, I try to go 4.5 minutes of time, but I find with using the Aeropress, that time is not quite so critical. But I do try to stay to 4.5 minutes, especially with a coffee that's a little darker roasted than I prefer. The longer you brew the coffee, the more kind of bitter flavors come out. And this kind of more darker roasted coffee that I'm using right now is already bitter enough for me, so I'm going to try to hold to that 4.5 minutes. May be a difficulty here because I'm going to be talking with you. I did have a question for you. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I always like to add a little bit of hot water to my mug, so I always boil just a few tablespoons extra water so I can do a little rinsing with the filter and add the hot water to my mug so that my mug warms up. I think it's important. Okay, now back to the question. How long do you spend every day on emails? Is it something that you spend time on every day, or do you set aside a certain day or certain days to do your emails? I am actually genuinely curious about this because I've been having an issue here lately. And you know what? I've just realized I've already forgotten what the time was when I started. So this may be well past 4.5 minutes. Oh well. Uh, it'll be good. The nice thing about an Aeropress is it always makes good coffee no matter what. So again, I don't really need to be too concerned about time, and time's not too much of an issue here. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm genuinely curious to know what you have to say about how much time you spend on emails, reading emails and answering emails. Because last month, I was spending almost 2 hours a day just reading and responding to emails. Now, obviously, I've got a lot more emails that I get because people reach out to me when they think I'm in their town. They'll reach out. Of course, I always put my videos up after I leave an area, so I have to tell them, explain to them when I reply back that I'm not in the area anymore. But, so there's all that. But also, I get a lot of emails from companies that want me to test out their products, and they tell me, oh, we'll give you our product for free, and you just do a video on it, and can have the product for free. And I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to review products anymore at all. And so there's all that that I have to deal with too. And then there's been a lot of junk emails as well. But yeah, last month I was really kind of at my wit's end with spending almost 2 hours a day, and I was just barely able to keep up. Now, I do want to make a point here in that I wasn't responding to every email, and I wasn't fully reading every email either. I was really just doing kind of the bare minimum. And I should also say that there's a bunch of emails that I've found that slipped through the cracks and I missed. And there were people that were, people that have found my channel and had reached out. And now it's been so long, I'm not really even sure if I should respond to them anymore. I don't know if it's more rude to respond months later, weeks or months later, or not respond at all. Hopefully they'll see this. If you're somebody that sent me an email and I haven't responded, it's likely that you were caught up in all that mess of email pile that I was dealing with last month. This month, I'm happy to say that the emails have gotten a little bit easier. I'm down to about an hour a day, although this week that has just ramped up, and I'm getting about twice as much this week as I was last week. But I've been pretty diligent on just not spending a whole lot of time on emails that don't need to be responded to. I don't know where we're at with the 4.5 minutes, but I'm going to dump my heated water out of my cup here, or my water that was heating my cup out, and I'm going to do the plunge here now because I think we're pretty close. One thing I've noticed with using two paper filters in my Aeropress is it's a little bit harder to press. Now this time, you see it's not taking any effort whatsoever, but I normally reuse these filters. So what I do is I just pop the top out here, and I'll peel the filters off and just set these aside. I let them dry, and then I just flake off any coffee that is kind of sticking to the filter. This one has a lot of coffee that's sticking to the filter. I notice that with darker roast coffees. They seem to do that more than my light roast coffees do. But then I'll just brush that off once it's dry, and I'll reuse the filter. Occasionally I'll just wash it out with a little bit of water, but I try not to do too much washing with water because that does waste water for me, and I don't have a whole lot of water capacity storage in my van. So that's one of the things I try not to do. And then to clean out my Aeropress, I just press the little puck of used coffee out, and then I'll knock that into my trash can, which I can't quite get to because my tripod is in the way at the moment. So we'll just set this aside. But that's it That's all I really need to do. Sometimes I do need to just wipe off the top. You can probably see I've got a bunch of little squares of paper towel here. I just take some paper towel and I cut it down into squares, and I use just one little square to wipe off my Aeropress with. It's another little cost-saving technique that I do. You can laugh at me if you want. I don't care. So I have my coffee concentrate that I made with the Aeropress, and then I'm just going to top it up with some water. This water is still perfectly hot. And I'm going to add in some cream. I've been using whipping cream lately. It's just so nice and decadent. And when I'm using a darker roast coffee, I do seem to like it a little bit better. It kind of smooths out the darker roast edges that I don't like. So there we go. There's my cup of coffee in almost real time. I cut out a little bit of time of grinding coffee and waiting for the water to boil, like waiting for paint to dry. I was going to take a big sip of this, but then I'm remembering it's too hot to drink. It smells okay. I'm going to leave that here, and I will let that cool down a little bit. So back to the email thing. I really am at my wit's end about the emails. One thing I did do that really cut down on my email time is anytime I see somebody is wanting me to do a product review for them, I don't even finish reading that email, and I don't even reply anymore. That pains me not to reply. To me, it's rude not to reply to an email, which is part of why I'm asking your help here with this. I really want to reply to every email, but I find with the companies that want me to do product reviews, if I reply back to them and say, I'm not interested in doing product reviews anymore, I'm just not doing reviews anymore, they usually don't leave it at that. They usually come back with an email saying, well, what would make you change your mind? Can we pay you? Can we give you a different product? They do all this, and I'm not interested in any of that. That's not to say I wouldn't do a review at all. If there is a right product that came along, I would probably do a review, but I don't see the point in doing product reviews. It's just not worth my time, and it seems to be that people don't really want to watch product reviews so much either. And so it's just not really worth it. If there's a product that I want, I'm just going to go and buy it instead of trying to get it sent to me and doing it that way. It's a whole logistical thing with that too. I don't have a mailbox on the van, so nobody wants to deliver to my van. So that means I have to figure out where to send it to, and it usually ends up costing me money to get a product sent to me, and that's something I just don't want to do either. So yeah, the logistics of getting a product sent to me makes me not want to do product reviews either. But there's a whole mess of reasons I don't want to do product reviews. I do want to reply to every email that I get, though, especially if it's somebody that watches the channel. The thing is, usually I set those aside until I'm in the right mindset to reply to them. Now, if it's a channel member that has sent me an email, I try to get to those quickly. It's a little easier with Patreon for me because Patreon has a direct message system that they have, and it's easier for me to reply that way. But emails has just been tough, and I just don't really know what to do about it. Other than just kind of speed reading through them and not replying to the ones that don't need to be replied to, I don't really know what else to do. It would be nice if I would get a whole lot less emails sent. That's what I would really like, to not look at my inbox every morning and see several dozen emails first thing. And then, of course, there's usually several dozen more by lunchtime. And by dinner time, there's several dozen more. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of emails. And I don't know if you have a suggestion about it, but I'm about ready to just take a few days off and just forget about replying at all to any of the ones that have already been sent to me, because I'm behind. I'm behind about 4,000 emails at the moment. So I've got some work cut out for me. If you've got an idea, I would gladly listen. You can, please don't send me an email, but please put it down in the comments below and I'll get to it that way. Anyway, that's it. I've got a lot to do. Emails for one. Some other things I've got to do too today. So I'm going to sign off, but thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.